We're going to begin with reaction by the UN, or should I say lack of action by them, and even for the world for that matter. How do you read that they have not reacted in putting into action or putting into motion anything regarding this war? First question will go to Dr. Maher Salloum in Beirut.
Yes, good evening. How are you tonight? I mean, the real situation on ground is a bit unethical so far. A lot of casualties. Human beings are being, killed in an atrocity, in an atrocity, let's say. These actions by both armies, let's say, the Yemen and Saudi armies, against the Houthis or the fighters that they are trying to build themselves up since a decade, let's say, in Lebanon. In Yemen, I'm sorry. The real situation is, if we go back to 1994, my good friend or political announcer, the situation is that they have been forwarded by the president of Yemen, Ali Abdullah Saleh, in order to fight the Wahhabis inside Saudi Arabia, or on the borders with Yemen. But the real situation right now is that the two countries, Yemen and Saudi Arabia, have been cooperating against the Houthis or the fighters of the Houthis inside Yemen and on the borders of Saudi Arabia, or even inside Saudi Arabia. But the real situation is, or the question mark is, where is the United Nations role right now? Why they have been negligent so far? Who is supposed to lead as international body here? The regulations and the body principles or the policies of the international bodies such as United Nations, where have they been so far? Let's say they have blamed Iran. Why Iran? Let's say you have a question. Iran has an interest in an area, okay, it's like any other international power like the United States or Western powers inside the Gulf countries, let's say. But Iran is irrelevant, let's say, of this whole situation. But they want to blame Iran in order to make a sectarian fight between the Sunnis and the Shiite in the Gulf. This is the objective of the intelligence or the international agencies of the United States and the Western powers. We don't have any idea what's going on inside the Houthis situation inside Yemen or Saudi Arabia unless we go down. As I am a peace ambassador, I would love to volunteer and go down with the United Nations and see the whole situation on ground, what's going on.
Okay.
Because they are regular human beings such as any human being in the world. And we have the right and the obligation for us as human beings or human rights activists to fight for such people.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned, if you had the chance, or if you maybe have not done it, you may, to go over there and see what's really going on. But that's going to be actually difficult, isn't it? The Yemeni government, they've banned all type of reporting by correspondence reporters or any type of media coverage there. And at the same time, again, it goes back to some of the war crimes that are in essence happening there. I mean, we're looking at what's happening with people getting abducted, disappearing. We're looking at what's happening inside the prisons in Yemen. Yes. The unprecedented tortures and abuse that has taken place there. So I'm trying to break this down.
Human rights violations here. Human rights violation and acts. Yes.
So when we look at the Yemeni government taking this on like this, and again, as you mentioned, which is my question also, the lack of action by the UN, what can be done in that regards?
In this situation, we need to act as fast as possible, such as international powers inside the area. This is okay, let's say. Let's give them the chance. But we need to, volunteer ourselves in the area. Whomever are Muslim countries or Arab countries, they have the right to intervene, but peacefully. Let us think strategically and peacefully. This is not of the interest of Saudi Arabia first, or Yemen, or even the Houthis themselves. If they need local independence, let us have true democratic actions or governance inside Yemen. If the president of Yemen does not accept true governance or democratic measures, to accept and to reciprocally or achieve a certain status where they can abide by the laws, I mean the Houthis here, and they can accept the state of Yemen under Ali Abdullah Saleh. But we need to have a truce right now, or a stop of the crimes, and the corruption there. Corruption, I mean using force in order to kill people. Okay. This is absolutely against all laws or international legal powers.
Let's bring in Dr. Saeb Shaath, Middle East Affairs expert from Belfast. Dr. Shaath, you heard the words by Maher Salloum there. Basically, if you can give your reaction to that, and at the same time, if you could tag on how the Western media, how they have covered what's really happening on the ground? Because obviously from what our guest there in Beirut has said, it's not exactly how they're portraying it.
Okay, I'm glad you asked this question because I want to mention one thing. Like there is an Arabic newspaper based in London, and it's popular in the Middle East and supposed to be, a pro-Arab cause. Run a story, Al-Quds Al-Arabi, a newspaper-based a story that Moroccan troops in Yemen, and that is quoting a Spanish right-wing tabloid called El Imparcial. That newspaper published and written by a group of fascist supporters. This newspaper, notoriously unreliable, the correspondent of this fascist newspaper in Morocco does his best to present the war in Yemen as a conflict between Shiism and Sunnism and a proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia. He also presents the Houthis as aggressors in here and states that Yemen government didn't have any option but to ask Saudi Arabia for military help. This distortion of the truth and trying, it's playing in what we call the Western agenda in here, of criminalizing Iran. I blame Al-Quds Al-Arabi for running such a story without checking its sources, because there is no truth in this story to start with. The other issue in here, this is a continuation of the Obama sort of policy, which is take on from where George Bush left, as what they call it, the chaos in the Middle East, create the bigger Middle East, shaking the whole Middle East, helping in creating new entities and creating more wars. And in this way, the Americans, at least, they can ease the pressure on themselves in Iraq and in Afghanistan as well, and expanding their policies through areas like Yemen and trying as well to put Iran in a position as Iran is trying to create trouble in the Arab world. And there is their way and methods in this way. They are playing through Shiism against Sunnism, which is trying to create an internal Islamic fight, which is not true. Saudi Arabia, the last time was, involved in such wars in Yemen. This war started in 2004 and running 6 continuous wars up till now, or from the 20th of June 2004, and still today we are running. There is a huge risk Saudi Arabia is taking here, because if we go back in 1962, when there is a war between the monarchists against the revolutionary forces in Iran at the time, and Saudi Arabia supported them, the monarchists, against the revolutionary, and then this war continued to 1970.
Okay.
The result of that is a very important point, and I have to mention, if you allow me. Israel was involved in that. Israel, we couldn't believe in the mid-60s, 1962, how the Israeli army can reach to Yemen, drop weapons cash, and support at the time, the monarchists, at the distance between Palestine and Yemen, 2,200 kilometers at the time, over 1,600 miles. That shows from the 60s there is forces being working on these sort of plans and agendas. And the result of such a thing, we suffer from it in the Middle East till today. That was the result of that war in Yemen, 1967 war, which defeated Egypt, Nasser, and the whole of Arab world suffered from it, and the rest of Palestine went under the occupation of Israel. If you want to look at the pictures, we have to look at it from a bigger side, and then we can zoom in the details. Saudi Arabia playing a dangerous role right now, and it should be helping in sorting the matter.